Hey guys, it's Carl with 3F Properties of Louisiana, and I wanted to take a minute to discuss the topic of should you list with a real estate agent or should you sell to a professional home buyer? There's a couple of main factors that you need to consider when deciding between the two, and we're going to talk about them now. The first factor is condition. Condition of the property physically and condition of the property financially. If your property is in poor condition physically, you're going to have issues listing with a real estate agent because banks and mortgage companies are not going to lend on a property that has physical deficiencies. Anything that's more than minor cosmetics. If there's anything medium to major, they won't lend on them because they don't trust that normal homeowners and normal average people that are buying a home for maybe the first time can get this work done and get it done properly so the property's up to where it needs to be. So if you have a property that's in poor condition, you're probably going to sell to a professional home buyer whether you list with a real estate agent or not. When you list with a real estate agent, you're going to incur commissions. There's no guarantee that closing costs are going to be covered. And once you do enter into a purchase agreement with a potential buyer, there's going to be further negotiations that go on, inspections, in which case they may try to negotiate the price down even further as they find additional stuff. When you deal with a professional home buyer, one that knows what they're doing, they're able to assess the physical condition quickly. The first time we go out there to look at it, if it's something major like foundation, we may need to get an expert to come out there and look at it a second time. But either way, within a matter of days, we've made a complete physical assessment of the property, and we can make you a cash offer that we can stand behind and move on and perform quickly. The financial condition of the property is also an important factor. If your property is if the mortgage is delinquent, if you've got judgments on the property, if you've got code enforcement liens, or anything of that sort, a real estate agent, for the most part, is not going to know how to navigate those situations. I'm not saying all of them, but for the most part, they won't. Most professional home buyers are going to know how to navigate those situations better. Let's say there's bad tenants in a property, and the tenants won't let you in. How are you going to be able to show a property if the tenants won't let you in? With a real estate agent. A home buyer is going to be able to work around that if they're professional, if they're experienced. So if you don't have any of those issues, if your property's in good shape, in other words, somebody who's going to buy it and live in it can buy it and move in the next day, if it's in good condition or better, and you don't have any of the financial issues going along with the property, no successions that are needed, listing with a real estate agent may be a better option for you. If you do have any of those issues, then a professional home buyer who has experience may be a better option for you. We are also going to, and we at 3F, we work closely with the title attorneys to make sure that these issues are getting fixed, and if we need to step in and help fix them, as far as judgments, delinquent mortgages, bad tenants, code enforcement liens, obtaining payoffs, whatever it is, if there's successions that need to be done, we can also help with that, by the way. Our title attorneys can do those successions, and they're usually cheaper than outside succession attorneys. But we work closely with the title attorneys to make sure that those situations are getting fixed as quickly as humanly possible. The second main factor to consider is time. And of course, all these factors tie together. But if time is not an issue for you, then listing with a real estate agent could be a better option. If you have a property that's in good condition or better, and time is not a factor for you, then listing with a real estate agent could be a better option because you're probably going to procure somebody who's going to live in the property as your buyer, an owner-occupant, and they're going to pay more than an investor, a home buyer, can pay. If time is a factor for you, then a professional home buyer, it could be a better option for you. For the reasons we've already mentioned, we can perform, and we can perform quickly with cash. If you have an owner-occupant who's going to step in and purchase your property, then they're going to typically, almost always, require a bank or a mortgage company to finance them. That's going to require inspections, appraisals. If there's issues with the inspections, if they need deficiencies, the buyer's going to come back to you to get those deficiencies fixed, or try to get you to give them a credit, money credited to them in the form of a price reduction or closing costs so that they can get those deficiencies fixed. And in addition, don't forget, during all that time, once you get it listed, which can take a month from the time you reach out to a real estate agent till the time it even gets on the MLS. So from there on out, you got to keep the grass cut, you got to keep the lights on, utilities, everything's got to be prim and proper for showings. If you live in the house, showings can be a hassle. If you don't live in the house, if the real estate agent can't show it, you might have to take off work. There can be logistical issues that go along with that. Another factor to consider is paperwork. When you list with a real estate agent, you're going to deal with a lot of paperwork. You're going to have a 6-month listing agreement minimum. You're going to have tons of disclosures that you have to fill out. The purchase agreement that you deal with, once you guys eventually do find a buyer, is 9 pages long. It's filled with all kinds of stuff. And if you're selling your house as is, a lot of the stuff is completely irrelevant. When you deal with a professional home buyer, our purchase agreements, they're simple and they're straightforward and they're short. 1.5 pages. Who's buying the property? Who's selling the property? What's the price? Is it a cash deal? Where are we closing? When are we closing? It's as is, and we're going to cover costs, and that's pretty much it. I think a final factor is just making sure whoever you decide to go with, whether it's an agent or a home buyer, that they're professional and that they're experienced and they know what they're doing. You can deal with agents that are great and know exactly what they're doing and how to navigate all these situations, and you can deal with plenty that don't have a clue. And that goes the same with home buyers too. How many of these people, how long have they been buying houses for? Have they been buying houses for 6 months? We've been doing it over 20 years. We've helped over 1,000 homeowners sell their properties. If you're talking to a professional home buyer, if you want to find out if they're legit or not real quick, ask them for a proof of funds. Can they show you a bank account within, instantly, within a half an hour or an hour, that they have the money to buy your property? So if you've got a house you're thinking about selling, a property, whatever it is, give us a call, 504-264-1407, or head over to the website, nolabuysHouses.com.